authoritarianism v. libertarianism. The 21st century politics has undergone a paradigm shift. 20th century ideas of left and right, tribal class politics has been replaced by an authoritarian versus libertarian polemic. Previous left-right supporters can be found under the libertarian banner these days. There's nothing unusual in that. In fact, it is an exciting departure, where the best minds are engaged in conceptual thought and debate with a view to applying libertarian politics to the real world. Concepts of left and right which related to seating arrangements in the 1792 French Assembly bear very little relation to today's politics. The wings of left and right have always met behind the rostrum in any parliament. However, since the liberals, or the liberal nomenclature that we have at the moment, have adopted political correctness, which is basically social Marxism, and the enemy of free speech, and obviously the enemy of libertarians, they too have joined left and right as authoritarians, and they are now our enemies. Liberals, as well as the far right and socialists, want to tell you what to do, what to eat, what to smoke, what to think, and what to say, and of course, how often. They all want you to do it for your own good. They all want to legislate for the sake of legislating. They want to write the world according to their way of thinking with your money. They want to redistribute your hard-earned money, but funnily enough, not their own. They want to control your way of thinking through the control of language, by politically correct speech, a sort of George Orwell Newspeak society, backed by language and thought police, to back up their diktats. Just when you thought the STB and the Stasi had gone forever, the EU brings it back in a more subtle form. The so-called liberal elite use politically correct speech to prevent criticism of their error of mass immigration. National parliaments in the European Union have abrogated and given up their responsibilities to an unelected oligarchy in Brussels, the Commission, supervised by a saraglu, a Turkish harem of basically eunuchs. European members of parliament have no power to stop the diktats of the European Commission. We can point out errors, we can make complaints, but we are basically eunuchs. The EU is the old Soviet Union by the back door. 80% of laws are created there. All the national parliaments of Europe, all the MPs in those national parliaments of Europe are obtaining money by deception. They no longer pass our laws, any more in the Czech Parliament than they do in the House of Commons in London. The EU is an anti-libertarian, bureaucratic, social, economic, Marxist empire run by and for the benefit of an international nomenclatura. It does not stand on socialism in one country, but socialism in all European countries. It is the apotheosis of Lenin's International by the back door. The communists may not have won the Cold War, but they have certainly won the subsequent peace. The EU also makes deals with other supranational, undemocratic powers like ASEAN, the African Union, organisations similar to themselves, to spread their tentacles of control and to limit opposition to their way of thinking and doing things. The EU is the antithesis of libertarianism, and we must not only work to leave the EU, but also make sure we destroy it, or the cancer that it creates will continue to work against the interests of those outside it. Any political philosophy and adherence to it is by degree. Libertarians are no different and express a wide spectrum of views. UKIP's libertarianism is based more on individual liberty with a dash of social conscience. Libertarianism should be tailored to the British or indeed the Czech condition. Our solution should be Tunbridge Wells, not Wells Fargo. UKIP libertarianism is more in the spirit of John Stuart Mill and Adam Smith than Ayn Rand and the American Rifle Association. Too many libertarians like to think they're in the wild open spaces of the US or Dakota, where a man and his Winchester rifle rule. Such a program does not fit the mature, historic social matrix of Pease Pottage, Hemel Hempstead, or Prague. Ours is a sophisticated, mature, and generally settled society. Problems are solved not by tucking on a uniform, but by donning a harsh tweed jacket and going down to the pub for a pint of beer and discuss things over a pint and darts. An extreme Jacobin, Robespierrean application of libertarianism would alienate electoral support in the British context and undoubtedly in the Czech context, especially if it touches on the untouchable National Health Service. Libertarianism should inform our debates and act as our guide, but it should not become an inflexible dogma. Too many converts formerly of the left discovered libertarianism as their ideological socialist construct collapsed about their ears. They have an unfortunate tendency to raise the banner of libertarianism and pursue it with the same fanatical zeal they formerly promoted socialism. Libertarians support small government. The state encroaches on our lives, cradle-to-grave socialism suppresses freedom of thought and action. It is hemlock for those who want to attain success or strive to stake a stake in society. The old socialist feudal state doctrine is dead. Small government induces people to take responsibility for their own lives and finances. Libertarianism believes in the meritocracy. A robust, healthy society can only function if the best people get to the top, regardless of race, religion, or background. And the key to that is a systematic, exam-based system. Not who you know, but what you know. Taxation should be limited and should be within budget. They should not be spending other people's money willy-nilly redistributing wealth. That is not the purpose of government. Freedom of speech continually being nibbled away at by political correctness and restrictions on the press. That is unthinkable. The lights are going out all over Europe and we need to keep them alight. And that is the purpose of libertarians. Liberty is the most important thing we can have. Small businesses help people have a stake in society. And we want to promote small business owners. We want to protect property rights. People must enjoy the benefit of their assets. The Czechs are very similar to the British in many ways. You believe, like Huss, you have free-thinking people in this country. Huss and the Hussites, a long time before the Reformation, were free-thinking people and died for their beliefs. A good soldier's spike showed the disdain for authority that I think many Czechs believe in, and you're all brought up to believe in. I would like very much to work with the Czechs and the British and the Dutch and the Swedes, free-thinking peoples who do not want to be dominated by a European Union that limits the libertarian notions and libertarian ideas. We want liberty for all. Peter Mark has been working very hard in the European Parliament with Nigel Farage. Those two gentlemen are leading lights of the libertarian movement. We are appreciated by many small nations throughout Europe who are being crushed by the European Union, and people who have libertarian and free ideas who want to escape socialism and the far right. So I'm very honoured and pleased to be here in Prague, and I hope that next time I come is to see Peter Mark being installed as the President of a Czech Republic. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, David. You were very short. Unlike the usual politicians who talk and talk and talk, and you have to stop them after half an hour. Because we have still like 5 minutes of your speech left, I would like to take the chance to introduce a little bit your party. So UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, now has 24 MEPs, has the largest United Kingdom delegation in the European Parliament. They now have 1 member of the Westminster Parliament.
And we're about to have 2.
And you're about to have 2. That was exactly what I wanted to ask you. Could you elaborate about the by-elections a little bit?
Yes.
1 minute.
Thank you. UKIP, like yourself, started as a very small party. I remember when there were as many people as there are in this room, that was our entire party conference. Now, we won the European election, we got more seats than any other party, we kicked the other parties into touch. What we've got to fight against now in England, because we have a first-past-the-post system, people generally do not vote for parties, they vote against parties. Most people will vote socialist to keep the right out, or they will vote right to keep the socialists out. So that tends to be difficult for smaller parties to break through. This time, I think it's like 1848, the year of revolutions. People have had enough. They've been conned, they've been robbed. The European Union, nobody voted for. We voted for a trade agreement. We got a nation state. We got a very small part in an empire of which we have little control. As I said before, Peter Mark and I are basically units at an orgy. There's absolutely nothing we can do to control the Commission. The Commission make laws. All we can do is complain about them and moan. We can't stop them. But now we have a majority there of British MEPs. Obviously this is what you should be aiming for. We now are starting to make inroads into the House of Commons. Every single party in Great Britain, when all the party leaders are on television, they don't talk about their party, they don't talk about the Labour Party, they don't talk about the Conservative Party, they all talk about UKIP. Now, they say horrible things about us. Good. The worse the better. And they say horrible things about you. You know, Peter here, they are saying horrible things about him in Sweden, but his party's growing. And the worse it is, the better it gets. It doesn't matter if it's good publicity or bad publicity, as long as they spell your name right. So, get stuck in. Don't worry about what they say about you. You're standing up for liberty. You're standing up for what we fought the last World War for. The freedom to think and speak. Not to be dictated to. Not to be conned by a bunch of people who are telling you, you know, you're not allowed to say that. That's politically incorrect. You can't discuss immigration. That's racist. It's not racist. You're discussing immigration because you're discussing economics. You're discussing it because the health service in your country will not survive free at use if you have an unlimited number of people coming into your country. It's the same in England. We cannot budget for the economy, we cannot budget for the health service, we can't budget for anything, we can't budget for pensions if we have unlimited open-door immigration. As the Czech Republic advances, this is a great nation. It was the only stable middle European democracy between the world wars. Everything was fabulous here. I even had a 1936 Aero car, one of the best cars I ever had. Wonderful machine. I've always wanted a Tatra, so if anyone's got one, I'll have one of those. This country excels in engineering. It excels in transport. It's a fabulous country, and it will build. You had economic problems, you had political problems. These are now starting to be resolved. This country will become wealthy too. And if you do not protect your economy from unlimited immigration, perhaps from Ukraine or from wherever else, you will find that your economy won't survive either. We are having terrible trouble in the UK. We must limit the number of people coming from not only the European Union, but also from Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, all of this. You cannot survive with unlimited immigration. And you see what happens in the end is that far-right parties start to be voted for by the people. It causes wage compression. People at the bottom who are unskilled, if you have vast amounts of labour coming to the country, their wages drop. But they still have to pay mortgages, they still have to pay rent, they still have to feed their kids. And if you have unlimited competition, you can't do that. You can't live 10 in a room like some other people can. You've got, it's just not possible. So, these are economic problems. It's nothing to do with racism, it's economic. And as long as you remember that and keep on strengthening that argument, those who say that you've not got the right idea will go away. I think, from what I've heard here, the sort of people who support you are the sort of people who support us in England. It's not the well-to-do. They've all got their little fiddles, their little tax affairs abroad. It's the ordinary working man who cannot dodge his taxes, who has to pay all the money. They're the ones that are fed up. They're the ones that are fed up paying for the lazy and the feckless. They want their fair share of the good life, and they are the ones who will